The unsurpassed, penetrating and perfect truth is seldom met with, even in 100,000 myriad kalpas. Now we can see and hear it. We can remember and accept it. I vow to make the Buddha's truth one with myself. Homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha. Well, we just had our transfer of merit ceremony, and that's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about all acceptance is the key that unlocks the gateless gate. I'll say that again. All acceptance is the key that unlocks the gateless gate. This is an old expression in Buddhism, and it's really helpful. The gateless gate. Why the gateless gate? It sounds very Zen, but actually it's quite simple. It's because there really isn't a gate. It's a gateless gate. It's a pretend gate. It's a barrier to our understanding, actually, which isn't a real barrier. We create it for ourselves, and we can do something about it. It's our views, preconceptions, opinions, ideas, judgments of ourselves and others and everything else, the conditions of our world. That's the seeming gate, because it seems to obstruct us from truth, reality. And all acceptance is the key that unlocks it. Well, we come to Buddhism because we want something, otherwise we wouldn't bother. You might want wisdom or enlightenment, or to be a better person, a nicer person, a kinder person, a more whatever it is person, or to just find some relief from our suffering, or all of the above. And it's fine to want something, but we also have to give something, and it's not quite what we think. We have to give up clinging to our views and opinions, our likes and dislikes, our wanting this and hating that, and to learn to accept things as they are, which sounds simple and it ain't easy. Like so many things in life. Oh, I could do that. Oh, wait a minute. That's really hard, There are so many things that can create suffering for us, but really, we're creating the suffering for ourselves most of the time because we don't want to accept things. Change, impermanence. Everything changes all the time. We change all the time. We lose things. They come and they go. We lose people. They leave us or they die, maybe, We may lose our job. We might lose our house in a fire. And the more we cling on to things and people, which is normal, quite understandable, but the more we do that, the more we suffer. And if we can accept change and loss, we suffer a lot less. Losing our house could be devastating. It's just take years to get over that. But we can move on. We can actually learn to let go, rebuild, renew our life, and move on to the next thing. And not just live in regret for what's gone. Losing somebody we love is very painful, no matter how we lose them. And we might never completely get over it, But if we can accept the loss and not be resentful and angry that the person is gone, whether they died or they left us or whatever happened, then maybe we can find peace and gratitude for the life we did have with them, the time we did spend with them. Just be grateful rather than, why do they have to go? Why do they have to die? Which is really understandable and really sad, but we can help ourselves. Old age, sickness and death. These things come with a human body. And it can be hard to accept our aging body and mind. If we're getting old, we might not be as strong as we once were, not as sharp as we once were, a little more forgetful maybe, or not quite always with the program. I know this. And we might try to cling on to our health and strength. And we might suffer because we're fighting a losing battle. Time is against us, But if we can accept that we're getting old, getting older, and see some of the benefits of getting older, we can be a blessing to ourselves and to other beings. With age comes wisdom, with any luck, if we accept it, and learn from our experiences in this life and not just be resentful, but to think, I've had even if it's been hard, we've learned things, we've found things, and we don't have to kick against the pricks, as it were, To be old and sweet rather than old and bitter, much nicer. In Buddhism, there's a expression about the old monks, old papayas who run to the meditation hall. Well, the old papayas are sweet. I think am I feeding back in some funny way? No. Is it okay? Okay, thank you. To be old and sweet, to be old sweet papaya, not an old grotty old rind, This is what I aspire to. Sickness, if we have illness, we have to really accept it if we want to do anything about it, And there's not a lot we can do. If it's a kind of chronic thing, it's not going to go away. Or to accept the situation and do the best we can with it. And not to be embittered because we think it's not fair. Why me? Well, as someone we know who's got a chronic, painful illness said, why not me? And this person is a shining example of acceptance of suffering. And still, it's really hard. Because acceptance doesn't mean our conditions just go away. We still have pain, we still have sorrow, we still have, all the things that come with life. But we can make them less painful for ourselves with acceptance. It really helps. Like, if we're angry and resentful about things that happen to us, it's a lot harder, We suffer a lot more. Well, acceptance isn't a passive thing. It doesn't mean we don't do anything. We take the medicine. We try to stay reasonably healthy. We try to do what we can to help ourselves. But we don't have to obsess about it all. Just to accept what comes our way. Do our best with it, within it, and accept how it turns out. That's the thing. Then there are habits of mind. Not just the body, it's the mind causes our suffering mostly. Our anger, our fear, our grasping after this and that, self-judgment, feelings of worthlessness, despair, shame, all these things. So many ways we suffer from ourselves, And that's the worst suffering than all the physical stuff, because we can make ourselves completely miserable or just find it very hard to get out of that. But we can do something. If we want to do something about these habits of mind, and we can, we need to see them clearly. And this means accepting them, accepting what goes through our mind. And this is one of the reasons we meditate, to see what happens and comes up in the mind, to see what our mind is doing. If we keep harping on old resentments, or we're chronically anxious about everything, or we rehash our mistakes and failures over and over again. Oh, why did I do that? Oh, that was so awful, Or to see these things, whatever habits of mind we have, there's 1,000 other ones I won't go into, and to accept them with compassion. That's the thing. To accept these habits of mind with compassion and not with judgment, saying, oh, what a stupid person I am. We have to accept the stuff that goes on in our mind, And it's not easy, but it really helps if we can just look and see what our mind gets up to. Look and see where our heat-seeking missile, looking for something to get angry about. Another thing, there's another thing, We wake up in the morning, we're mad about everything. We might think, hang on a minute, it may be just me, and it's not that everybody's doing something wrong. No, it's me, my crabby mind. It really helps. And you think, oh, I can let that go. Easier said than done sometimes, but God, it helps. And to accept these things with compassion, not with judgment. Oh, what a crabby, horrible person I am. Just say, I'm crabby. Let's just let it go as best I can. Not easy, as I said, but it really does help. We might not have noticed, actually, or realized that we do tend to look for things to get upset about. Or things to get, frightened about, to worry about. I'm not worried. Why am I not worried? There must be something I'm missing, I mean, really, Comparing ourselves with others. We're never good enough. We're never rich enough. We're never loved enough. We're never anything enough, It's a bottomless pit. And if we can see these things about ourselves, it can be really hard, but we have to see them so we can do something about them. And that means accepting them. None of us is perfect. We all have something. If it wasn't this, it would be something else. Would I want somebody else's karmic things? I don't think so. I'd rather have my own for what it's worth. At least I know what it is, and I know what to do with it. It would have to be something else if it wasn't what I have. So we might as well accept it and work with it. We all have selfishness. Lots of us have we all have lots of selfishness, actually. And this is the basic problem. Our self-concern, our anger, fear, desire, despair, judgment of others and of ourselves, it all comes out of our feeling of being a self, a me, separate from all the other selves or the other me's. And of course more important than they are. Here I am, I'm the center of my world, I'm the center of the universe. And even the people we love and cherish, well, they're attached to me, We're the center of it all. And this is completely normal. Completely normal. We all have this. But if we don't recognize our self-partiality for what it is, it causes us suffering. If we can recognize it, there I am getting crabby. It's just being a crabby self. Here I am wanting something, Do I need that thing? Maybe not really. It's just the grasping mind, or whatever it might be, To learn to see it, to learn to accept it, and let it go. Let it go as a thing. To let go that the things that arise in our mind, we can see them and accept them. Then we can start to let them go. If we can't accept them, they kind of cling on. But if we can accept it, I do have a tendency to get upset rather easily. Okay, I need to work with this. And when I see it arise again, here I are again, getting crabby, maybe I can just let it go. But to see it, and to see that tendency, whatever it might be, whether it's greed or desire or anger or fear or whatever, really helps to just recognize it and accept it with kindness and compassion and let it go. The kindness and compassion are essential. If we're judging it, saying, yes, I'll accept it, but I am an awful mean person, We can just be kind to ourselves. It does help. Karma. We all have our karma. We come into this life with our predispositions to fear and anger and greed and all that. And up to now our life is, all the things that have happened to us, the things we've done, the choices we've made, that's all karma too. That's all part of it. It's not separate. And all of this stuff has helped to make us the way we are now. And if we can see this, then we can accept it and treat it with kindness. The situations we found ourselves in, they've all helped to make us the way we are now, for better or worse, with our good qualities and not quite so very great qualities. And seeing all this, or as much as we can see, we don't see everything, but to see as much as we reasonably can see, by sitting still and being willing to look and accept it. And seeing these things helps us to accept ourselves as we are, not some nice, cleaned version of ourselves, the Hollywood version. No, just me as I am, like this now. To see that. Our willingness to look. We don't have to know everything, we don't have to see everything, but to be willing to look as things arise with kindness, with a kindly eye, and not judgment. Hard to do, but it really helps. With an open heart and an open mind, just to see that. This is what I have, this is what I need to work with. If it wasn't this, it had to be something else. We don't have to judge ourselves or blame ourselves. If we can accept our karmic tendencies, our weaknesses, our faults, our mistakes, our shortcomings, accept all the things that have happened to us and the things we've done, then we can start to have compassion for ourselves, because we all are like this. We all have mistakes, faults, shortcomings, things we wish we hadn't done, things that have happened to us that might have been really painful. You've all got stuff, not to mention what we come into this life with, Compassion, to see with kindness and compassion is essential. Well, that's us, ourselves, seeing ourselves as clearly as we can and accepting what we see so we can do something. Now we have other people. Other people. Hell is other people, says Jean-Paul Sartre. No, hell is not other people. We're other people too. If we can let go of our judgments and opinions about other people and accept them the way they are with compassion and understanding as best we can, compassion for their shortcomings, compassion for the things they do we don't like, then we can live in much more harmony with people. Family members we don't get along with, Can we see them with an eye of compassion? We don't know what it's like to be them. We don't know what it's like to be that other person and what has made them the way they are. But if we can see, they're probably just like me in some ways. They've maybe had a rougher life, but we don't know why they are the way they are necessarily. But a little compassion and acceptance can go a very long way towards a more peaceful life, to accept people. We can't change another person. It never works. It just makes their lives and our lives miserable. But we can sometimes give a little bit of advice to somebody if we're lucky, Maybe they'll take it, you never know. But we can't fix people. We can't fix anybody. We can only work on ourselves, do something about ourselves. And our acceptance of other people as well as ourselves helps everybody. Because if we're going to be kind to ourselves, then we can be kind to other people. We're going to be kind to them, we can be kind to ourselves. It all works together. You can't be nice to other people and then horrible to yourself. It doesn't work. Or vice versa. So that's other people. There's a huge realm of training and practice and acceptance and understanding and kindness and all that. But we can work on it, to just do our best to be kind and accept. The conditions in our world can be very hard to accept. What goes on in our world? Conflict, wars, hatred, intolerance, divisiveness, terrible suffering that people undergo and that people inflict on other people. Most of the suffering in our world could be avoided if we were all just nice. But we're not. And we weren't selfish. This is not the way. So we get suffering, huge amount of suffering in our world, and it's always been this way, one way and another. It seems worse now. It always seems worse now than it's ever been. Maybe it is worse now than it's ever been, but we don't rightly know. But there's always been suffering in this world, and this is how we actually learn kindness, by learning to accept suffering. Accepting what happens to ourselves and to other beings. Well, acceptance doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean, there's people starving to death, horrible things happening, I'll just accept it. It's not indifference. It's not cutting ourselves off or not caring at all. Or does it mean that we shouldn't try to do what we can to help? If we can help, help for heaven's sake. We can feel deeply about the suffering we see. But we don't have to be angry or righteous about it. That doesn't help. If we want to help, it's much better to help from a place of stillness and acceptance than from a place of righteous anger. This is terrible, I'm going to fix the world and do, We see a lot of that, and it isn't always helpful. It can put people off, actually. But if you can sit still, how can I help with this? Maybe I can see something that I can actually do from a place of stillness and acceptance rather than anger and righteousness. No. There's so much anger and hatred in our world, we don't need to add to it. And if you do feel angry about things that go on, we can just accept that we're angry, but we don't have to act on it, to sit still with it. And that's the other thing. If we can accept the things that go through our mind, our anger and selfishness and all that, then we don't have to act on it. We can see it, like not acting on our anger. We might have angry thoughts, and they do, affect others, but not as much as if we yell at them or do something harmful to them. If we can sit still with them and let those thoughts arise and pass away, not feed them, it really helps. We can help the world by not giving in to a lot of anger and hatred and, all that. There's plenty of that. So sit still, see what we can see, because you can see better if you're sitting still than if you're all clouded with anger or outrage or whatever. We sit still and do what we can to help. Even if it's just offering merit like we did today. Our lovely, transfer of merit ceremony, it actually does help beings. I'm certain of it. People who we offer merit for say they feel it, it helps them. They may not get better if they're sick or whatever it might be, but there's a peace that seems to come to them. And sometimes they do get better, or people do. But our offering of merit is one way we can help. And to do that, we need to accept that there's a lot of suffering in the world. We know the people, we write names of people. We know what's happening with them to some extent. We accept it, we offer merit. Things that might happen in our world, things seem somewhat unstable at the moment. But if we're all worried and afraid about all the things that might happen, we get kind of paralyzed with fear. And if we can sit still within that fear and not let it drive us into acting unwisely or unkindly, but to accept it, I'm really afraid. I'm a nervous person, I'm really afraid, or, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, to accept that doesn't mean we can't let it go, doesn't mean we're always stuck as being a fearful person. But if I can see I'm really afraid, then we can sit still with courage and faith. We are all connected to each other, all beings, all people, animals, plants, cars, buildings, everything, deeply connected to everything else. We're all made of the same kind of molecules, which I think is wonderful. We're all made of the same kind of molecules. And whatever we do, say, or think affects everybody and everything else. Whether we like it or not, all our thoughts, words, and deeds affect the world, affect other beings. Maybe affect the whole universe, what do I know? Probably in rather small ways by the time it gets out there, but still, whatever we do, whatever we say, whatever we think, whatever we attach to, affects everybody. Which doesn't mean we don't do anything. It means we try to be responsible and accept things the way they are, do our best within them. And this is why we need to practice acceptance, compassion, and kindness in all the situations we find ourselves in. We don't know what it's like to be another person, but they're probably pretty much like us at bottom. We all have goodness within ourselves. For some people, they cover it up, or it's covered up for them by the things that have happened to them. Here we are in this hall. We can practice the Dharma. We're fortunate. We can do that. And that helps everybody. It's hard to be a human being. For everybody. Any kind of being. Everybody has suffering, even those who look like they've got it all together and they have everything. We don't know what it's like to be them, You have rich people looking completely miserable. To practice compassion, understanding, kindness, acceptance to others and to ourselves. This is the best thing we can do to help our world. Not to get all righteous about things, but to just do our best. To remember that we're all deeply connected together. None of us is special. None of us is completely different from everybody else. We're all pretty much the same. And to live from that helps us to get outside that little bubble of self, the little fearful self that I won't be in, and to actually treat other beings as though they were us, in a sense, or as though they were a dear friend. Not to think this, but to think this is another human being like myself. I don't have to think of them as separate, because we're all one being, really, just one being. The great matter, Buddha nature, whatever you want to call it, we're all part of that. We all have that nature within us. Everybody, no matter what we look like, or they look like, no matter what people do, we've all got that there somewhere. And it's what you do with it that makes the difference. To keep coming back to that, to keep coming back to refuge in the Buddha nature, our true nature, in the Dharma that helps us to find it, and other beings that are also trying to find the Sangha. All of this helps us in all the conditions of our lives, helps us to accept them, to live with them, and to practice kindness. Whether the conditions are within us or outside us, to practice with compassion and wisdom by accepting everything. All acceptance is the key that unlocks the gateless gate. The gateless gate to true wisdom and true compassion. which is the way to the end of suffering, which is what we'd like actually. The little end of the suffering would be very nice, but we can't try to strive to get there. Just to do the best we can, thinking of other beings, helping ourselves, helping other beings, and not getting stuck in some kind of little bubble of me, All acceptance is the key that unlocks the gateless gate. This is our talk for the day. And retreat guests, thank you for being here. We're very happy you are here. We hope you come again. And everybody else who's here today, thank you. Nice to see you all, and we'll have tea together. Thank you.